We're live, so just give me a second. I just want to make sure everything's good on Twitch, and we can just start.
Hank looks like he's here for an interview.
Ian, little do you know.
I'm interviewing for $100, man.
Dude, Hank's got his interview for admin of Shock Clan right after this.
Test,
Yeah,
audio
me too.
test.
For admin of Shock Clan right after this.
Test, audio test.
For admin of Shock Clan right after this.
Okay, sorry, I was just testing a little bit of audio. All right, seems good to go. Y'all ready? Should we start this shit?
Yeah.
I'm taking that as a yes. All right, let's do this. All right, well, let's welcome the jury first. Jared Posky, who's going to show up in a little bit. Yowdy, Ian, Carson, who isn't here, but will also show up at some point. Alex, Enrique, Priya, Brandon, and Tristan voted out at the last tribal council. So after 34 days, here's where we stand. We started with 20 people, 10 heroes, 10 villains. We're down to 3, Bernard, Hank, and Anish. Each one of you having played a very different game of Survivor. Tonight, the jury takes over. 10 people. 10 people that you had a hand in either directly or indirectly in voting out of this game. Now we'll decide which one of you will win the game, gets the title Sole Survivor, and also gets the $100 that goes along with it. This is their first chance to address you, and I hope you're ready for it because you will be held accountable. And anybody who lasts 34 days in this game will have something to be accountable for. So here's how it works. The final 3 will be making their opening statements. The jury will address you guys, and then we'll vote. We're keeping it semi-open form tonight, so if at any point anyone wants to chime in for a follow-up, a comment, etc., feel free to. You can. I guess just, be respectful to whoever's turn it is who's talking, especially other jury members specifically. And if you want to chime in, maybe just let everyone know in the final tribal council text chat beforehand. I don't know, maybe it'll just be a good heads up. So on that note, how about we just start with Hank? Opening statements.
Okay. So I'll start out with the elephant in the room. Many of you called me a goat for not flipping, and look where that's left you guys. During the start of this season, Josh told me that I need to find a strategy, and he suggested that I watch some earlier Survivor seasons for stuff like that. And I thought, okay, I'll try it. I tried it. I watched half an episode.
What?
I don't really like live action TV. It wasn't really my thing, and much less even live action stuff. So I was like, you know what? I like Total Drama Island. It's the same thing. It's I watched it a lot when I was much younger. So I rewatched a couple episodes. I watched the finale of the first season, and there was this guy Owen. He was a very happy-go-lucky guy. He was really fun. He was always helping each other out. He never wanted to backstab anybody. And he got to the final round and eventually won. And I was like, well, I'll just do that. I'll just be nice. I'll just communicate and be helpful to whoever's team I'm on. Never backstab anybody unless they had be gone. And that's how I played, and that's how I got to the end. So it really worked out in the end. Good thing Josh gave me that advice. I was never loyal to someone that I didn't want to win ultimately, like Byrne or Anish. They're both great players, and I think they both are just as willing or just as rightful to win this $100. I was on an alliance with them just because I knew that I would be content with either of them winning. However, I believe I have the best reason to have this $100 and the title of Sole Survivor. And it's ultimately because of my strategy. My strategy made sure that nobody left the game spiteful of me ultimately. It was either someone else's doing. I was never the one responsible for ultimately saying, hey, let's vote this person out. They seem too dangerous. It was always, well, my leader or the organizer of this group wants to vote someone else out. And it was easy to play that card because the person on top, the person leading, is always going to be responsible for the person getting voted out. And that person getting voted out will then be spiteful of that person that organized everybody to vote him out. So same thing with the challenges. If I won any challenges, or if I won like every challenge like Anish, it would put him as a high target. And if Anish messed up anywhere at the end of that game, he would have been out. Like, we would have voted him out immediately. So ultimately, Anish didn't have a great strategy. One unlucky challenge, if Josh just threw a curveball at the end, he could have been gone. My strategy was very, not only resourceful, but very reliable. Even Burn played like a similar strategy to mine. He didn't win any challenges, made sure not to like sandbag and like be last for most of them. Sometimes he did, but ultimately he stayed in the middle, played it low key, and got to the end. I still don't think you should give it to Burn though, because he's probably just gonna throw the $100 into like a casino and lose it all. But I would be fine if he wins. Anish, you might say, well, he's done so well. He had that unstoppable win streak at the end, and I'd say, well, yeah, but like that just proved how much he needed to win streak in order to get this far. It's great that he did, but it's still not a reliable strategy. And if he lost his challenge, he would have been gone. That's my closing thoughts.
All right, thank you, Hank, for your opening statement. Does Anish or Burn, do either of you want to volunteer to go next, or should I just choose myself?
I don't really care. Burn.
You go, Anish.
Okay. Alrighty. Hi, gentlemen of the jury. I expected Priya and Carson to be here currently. I hope all of you are doing well. I'd like to thank the Jeffs for creating and running this season of Survivor for the past month. I know it was a lot of work. Tonight, the power shifts to you all. As of now, I honestly feel like I've played a great game for someone of my stature. As a former winner of Survivor, the Jeffs never failed to mention my challenge run from a couple years ago. Despite this image and callouts from many players, I managed to lay low when I needed to, leveraging the game of vengeance to mitigate my own challenge prowess. Although I was without immunity for 4 out of the 10 merged tribals, the target was only directed towards me once. I was able to direct most of that attention on many of those who were threats to my run while successfully utilizing my advantages to gain information, taking out a power player in the process. I was instrumental in creating the sixth, reaching out to Carson on the night of Tribal 8, suggesting that we push back against what I coined as the Simian villains, which ultimately resulted in back-to-back vote-outs of Posk and Yowdy, 2 of whom I identified as major threats to my game. I understand that some of you may think I hide behind my challenge runs in this game, and I can assure you that that isn't true. So I utilize what seems like an AFK or indecisive playstyle as a way to gather more information. In votes where I might seem indecisive or people are insecure about their positioning, they often divulge more information than necessary, allowing me to make reads and exploit that information against others. This is an example of how I managed to read Priya and play and idle her out, despite no indication that she would be voting against Bernard otherwise. This is also how I was able to flip against the true hero block at Tribal 11 to shift the target to Enrique, someone who had already divulged knowledge of at least 2 idols to our former alliance. I'm sure there are several points of clarification that you all are looking for before determining who to give your vote to today. I look forward to hearing them. Thanks, and good luck to both Burn and Hank as well. May the best survivor win.
All right, Bernard, you're up.
Hello. All right, do you hear me?
Yeah, you're
Yeah.
good.
All right. Let me know if this music's too loud.
Oh god.
Us survivors are no stranger to war. After all, we've been fighting for such a long time. In fact, many of us have played 5 seasons of Survivor. This season, we fought for Immunity Idols, for SpongeBob Movie Nights, and for Applebee's. For 2 months, we've been fighting for our very own survival against the greatest villains of them all, Anish and Hank. But this is a fight we cannot continue. The Shock Clan faces extinction unless we end this war now. What I ask for you is not easy, but it is necessary. We must now take this fight to Anish and Hank. This is the day we take the battle to the heart of the enemy. This is the day we correct the course of human history. We cannot let Anish win again! Soldiers of the jury, my fellow tribe mates, vote for me tonight and bring back hope to the Shock Clan. Alright, but in all seriousness, I think I deserve this spot tonight. And I think I deserve your vote tonight for the $1 million and the title of Soul Survivor. I've adapted to 3 different tribes. I've survived 14 out of 17 tribal councils, and was also voted 4 out of the last 5 tribal councils I attended. I've outwitted, outplayed, and outlasted all of you. And I would go through all the details right now, but I'm sure you guys will be asking questions about it very shortly. So I'll just let you guys ask questions.
Okay. Thank you, Bernard. Okay. Well, with opening statements out of the way, we can just go on to the jury pretty much. We're going to be moving in order from first voted out at the beginning of Merge to the last. So Jared to Tristan. And like I said, remember, it's open, semi-open form. So if Jared asks a question and someone responds and you want a follow-up, feel free to chime in. Or if you want, wherever you want the discussion to go. I mean, maybe don't keep it going too long or too off topic, but you kind of got it. So with that, Jared, floor is on you.
All right, thanks, Jeff. Well, most of my questions got touched on during opening, so good job for that. But I guess I can go ahead and ask Bern. What was, in your opinion, the biggest play you made this game? And why do you think that never mind, that second part's useless. What it was, in your opinion, the biggest play you made this game?
Okay, so the biggest play I think I made was definitely the vote pre-merge when it was me, Priya, or like the tribe was you, Priya, Brandon, Carson, and Ben. I had just visited the Simia tribe the day before and gathered some information about kind of what the dynamics were in the Simia tribe. Enrique kind of told me that it seemed like it was kind of a villains versus alliance, or villains versus heroes currently in that tribe, and I knew that merge was coming up pretty soon. So the day we lost after that day, Priya approached me saying that Jared, Ben, and Priya were planning to vote Brandon out, which at the time was one of my closest alliances. And I knew that at first I kind of thought that I was kind of part of the the Ben and Priya alliance, but I kind of felt left out at that point. So I went ahead and told Brandon and Carson that the plan was to vote out the Ben and Priya was to vote out Brandon, and I could not have that happening. So what I ended up doing was I told Brandon and Carson that you were going to vote for them for Brandon. Then eventually you ended up joining us as well, and then we were scared of an idol play as well. So I also went ahead and told Priya that Jared actually leaked the information out to us, even though it was actually Priya who told us. And then we actually ended up getting Priya to vote with us as well. And eventually it ended up being no votes to Brandon. It was 3 votes to Ben, 2 votes to Priya. And I was able to break up the very core lines of Priya and Ben, also breaking up the possible huge alliance of villains plus Hank. And that ultimately, I basically knew exactly what was going on going into merge. And I also made sure that 2 of my closer alliances, which I thought would be Brandon and Priya, were also going to merge with me as well. And that was one of my biggest plays, I think.
right. Yeah, that sounds good. Yeah, I remember that vote. It's pretty tense for sure.
Yeah.
But I can, if nobody has anything else they want to say on that, I can go ahead and move to Hank. You really downplayed. So obviously at the end of the game, you're right that playing the safe game will get you to the end.
Mhm.
But I would also, I would argue that big plays are, what are valued the most. So I'm curious why you don't like value, big plays. Like like why wouldn't you find it valuable to have had a target on your back for so long and still be at the end?
Well, I can see how others might find it valuable to kind of make a show of themselves and show wow, I had such a big target on my back and I made it through all the way to the end. I think it's just as strategic to bite your tongue on a lot of decisions, even if someone's getting voted off that you don't exactly want voted off, but you vote with your block just to advance further in the game. I think sometimes those are harder decisions than just being a high target the whole game, because there is a chance such when we did that vote when we went to the rocks at one time. I was willing to hold strong and I could have been just randomly. I was really close to being randomly voted out, but I was willing to risk it so that my team knew I was going to vote with them no matter what, even if that costed me my spot in this final 3.
Must suck to be that guy.
Yeah, no, right?
Well, I was mostly going to ask Anish about whether or not his AFK-ness was genuine or strategy, but he touched on that one already. So I don't really have anything for Anish, so I think I'm good for questions.
All right. Well, if no one has anything to add on any of Jared's comments or anything, we're going to move on to Carson, because Carson has to leave in 10 minutes. So, Carson, you can go right ahead.
Hold on. All right, hold on. Real quick, does my mic sound okay right now?
You're good.
Okay. So, Bernard, what if, right now I'm gonna vote for Anish. What have you done in this game, at all? In Merge? Have you done anything?
Yes, I think I've done a lot actually. Post merge, I think. Well, I don't know if you're here for the plays I made before merge, but after merge, one of the biggest plays I think I made was the vote when we needed Tristan to come to our side, and when I visited Simia, I actually told Tristan that Yaudi has an idol beforehand. I was trying to cause some chaos in that group, and then after merge, in order to get us from going to rocks, I told Tristan about that as well. I continued the story of that and told him that basically Yaudi was a huge threat in the game and he had an idol, and it was pretty consistent with what I told him in a Simia visit. And I'm not sure how much he believed that or what, but I believe that I was a big turning point in the game where I kind of got Tristan to join our game. And after that, I also, the vote afterwards, I also ended up giving Anish my safety without powers that I found during one of my challenges. And through that, I knew that we couldn't have Anish dying that night because Enrique was one of the top challenge threats. And if Anish died, if Anish died, you, Brandon, Enrique, and whoever else you guys had in your little alliance would have probably killed all the rest of us off after that. So I basically had to protect Anish in order for me, and for the rest of us to continue the game. And he didn't end up using it, but either way, it was an option for him. And that also allowed me to gain power or trust with Anish, which he ultimately gave me one of his idols. And also, I knew he was going to bring me to the end of the game, do that as well.
Okay. All right, Anisha, I'm voting for Burn now, so convince me to vote for you.
I mean, do you have a question or?
Nope, no question.
Hold on.
What's
Sorry, I
going
was just thinking a little. No, Carson said he's voting for Burn now. Try to convince him otherwise. I was just thinking for a sec. So I guess I don't know. Well, yeah, Burn did give me his safety without power advantage in Tribal 12. I didn't end up having to use it, even though I was still, threatened by both. Actually called out by Enrique, you, Brandon, and Alex in 2 tribals in a row, and you still didn't end up flipping the vote on me. And in Tribal 12, use the safety without power to see what chats popped up, and as a way to gain information. And then the next tribal, Tribal 13, there was actually indication that Tristan was going to flip to take Burnout that night, and that was only if I had used the safety without power, because people thought I was going to eject for that. So I used it again there to cause confusion. And basically conversations with Enrique and Alex at that time, as well as you guys throughout the entire tribal trying to bait me into using the power, were reasons that would have actually guaranteed Burn's death there. And I didn't want to use the power and evacuate because it would have flipped Tristan, and then we would have lost our majority. So, even though I was unsafe that tribal, I didn't use the power, and it put in our favor because we managed to keep Tristan on our side. And I also thought Burn would bring me to the end, so it's kind of why I didn't want him to die that night either, because we needed him for the majority.
Wait,
Okay.
can I jump in for a quick follow-up? Sorry.
Sure.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
Yeah, wait. So I guess this is for Tristan, because Bernard made the claim that like one of his big moves was getting you to flip with this like fake idol. Like, knowledge, did that actually impact your decision to flip, or can you like go into that?
Oh yeah, so wait, are you asking me or are you asking Burn?
Oh, you, yeah. Since he
Yeah.
said that he got you to flip.
Yeah, so he did when we kidnapped him over, he did mention that Yowdy, you have an idol and that we should look out for it and you'll be a threat going over. But the ultimate decision was I didn't want to go to Rocks at that second tribal after we went to Rocks the first tribal. And then I wanted to keep Burn close to think that he was a reason that I wanted to keep him close for my game to think that he was the reason he helped me flip over. So I mentioned to him like, yeah, you're one of the reasons it helped me convince to flip over, but it was only for my game to keep numbers on my side if I needed it farther down the road. But that obviously did not help me and is not useful for me at least. But Burn did mention that, and that was a game move.
So Tristan, do you think like impacted it at all, or like what was your decision actually to like just end up flipping though? If it...
Yeah, my decision, I mentioned in my confessionals and
okay.
to other tribe mates that it was, I didn't want to go to Rocks, but
okay.
That was a seed plan in my head, and it was definitely a game move, and it honestly, it could have worked. It was definitely in the back of my mind, but yeah.
Okay.
All right, before I go, I have no questions for Hank. Hank, you are the definition of a goat. But
You suck.
I still hope you win.
I was gunning
I'll
for you
vote
since
for
the
you.
beginning. Thanks, man.
All right, goodbye.
All right. So next up we have Posky, right? Posky was voted out after Jared. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay.
Shouldn't you know, Jeff?
I don't have it open. I can't keep track of everyone.
Jeff
All right.
sucks at math. Don't worry.
Okay, I'll go to Hank first. So, Hank, I've been thinking a lot after the season about like what does it mean to play a good game of Survivor. Like you said, you got to the end, and like is that enough? But at the same time, I feel like a baby could get to the end because people are like, it's a baby. Like, what are they gonna do? They're not gonna win at the end. So like, what did you do to like actually like make any alliances or to like make the bonds other than just like voting nonstop. Because in my mind, I'm just like, hey Hank, vote with us, and you're like, all right, and then you voted with us every single vote until the game's over. So like, you know, like a robot could do that. So like, what did you do anything to do anything like to make any of these like alliances like happen, or like not?
Yep. So since the beginning, since the first day that we were playing Survivor, I realized that I have to find either one or two people and like stick to them. So I needed to find someone from our team, the Heroes, that I could rely on, and then once we merged with the Villains, I needed to find someone from their team and rely on them in case like something like things like went south. So my two like closest allies that I was gonna vote with no matter what is gonna be Priya, and then later in the stage Burn after Priya got voted off, and then even earlier I was gonna go with Bosky. So picking people that you know you can rely on was definitely one of the skills that I think I displayed, and realizing that like if I was just useless, then people would vote me off. Like they're gonna vote off the threats, and then they're gonna vote off people that are useless and just taking up space. And I think.
Do you think there's ever a point in this game where anybody ever thought for a second that they could possibly write your name down to get voted out? Like, were you ever? Did any player in this game have a moment of thought where they're like, we should maybe vote out Hank tonight? Do you think that happened?
No, but I think that was part of my strategy, is just to not be a huge target.
Okay.
And display that you can get to the end without being a huge target and being like, yeah, a baby could make it to the final, but like as a joke, like if the baby was literally getting zeros on everything and like weighing the team down, I think that person would be voted off immediately.
Okay, thank you.
Hey, Hank, sorry, am I allowed to butt in here?
Yeah, I'd like you to, please.
Hank, you considered me your closest ally?
Yeah, I voted with you every time.
I'm so confused by that, but okay.
Okay.
All right.
Okay, Bernard, I guess this is kind of like a two-part question about the same thing, but like one, how did you get, like, you may have like said it, but like, I guess just like restate it, like, how did you get Anish to play like the idol for you? Or like, and I guess it's still kind of still the same question, but like, you would have gone home there if Anish didn't play the idol for you. And the only reason I think Anish played the idol for you is because he considered Priya to be more of a threat than you. So, like, at what was that, final 5, or was that final 6? That was final 5, right? 6, final 6. So, yeah, I don't know. Like, you just kind of got home. You just kind of stayed in the game because like Priya was more of a threat than you at that vote, and like Anish just had you know get rid of his idol. So, like, is that like really like a good play in your end, or do you see that as like maybe like your game's like weaker because you kind of just got like dragged along because you're weaker than like another player at final 6?
Well, first of all, the idol that Anish had was kind of like almost like a dual idol that we both kind of, I guess he found it, but like we kind of did the same. We did that one escape room challenge. I don't know if you know about it, but basically, I mean, I don't know if Anish thought the same thing, but I kind of assumed it was kind of like whoever needed it most will be using it, as there's literally only 2 votes left after we got the idol, and he ended up using it on me, even though I personally actually thought we were gonna probably win that vote. But Anish came to me with the idea that I'm probably gonna get flipped on that night. But thank God for Anish. But that's part of like the reason why I kind of put my trust in Anish by giving him the safety without powers as well. I kind of knew that Anish would be winning a lot of challenges going forward, and I would be kind of like, he's kind of like a body blocker as like going forward, or a shield, where like he'll never be an option to vote, and he'll always be one of my numbers when I'm going to vote as well. And you might think like I'm just like kind of a goat in that point, but it's pretty, I think it's pretty strategic to give Anish my safety without powers, knowing that he will probably be winning every challenge going forward, and then also bringing me with him to the end, because I think that he will. I think that he trusts me a lot as well.
All right, thank you for the answer.
Could I just pitch in really quick? Anish, you touched on it earlier in your opening statement, but how did you get tipped off that Bernard was probably going to get flipped on that night, and that you should play it for him, and Priya was the vote?
It wasn't. No one tipped me off. Like the four of you didn't actually give me information. It's kind of like what I was saying earlier. It was more of a read. A few tribals before tribals, 13 or whatever, wherever that happened, the idol play happened. Priya actually mentioned that her strategy going into the final tribal council was to take in what her opinion was a goat, which she thought was Hank, and then you, Tristan, her closest ally, because she knew your game the most. So that was like her, that's what she intended to do from like get-go. And I knew that she was actually going to be a very like large threat going into final tribal against her. So, she actually, we like talked a little bit. We confirmed the Brandon vote all throughout that night, and then she actually told me that she was worried that Burn wasn't safe, and that was literally just like, free information because she said I've heard his name come up a few times, and only 6 people left. Like, you can't really,
That was the tip.
That was kind of basically it. She said, I asked her dang by who, and she said by Brandon. I also talked to Brandon. We knew Brandon had to live, or like he was going to do whatever he could to survive that night. I approached him earlier in that night talking about a potential vote on Priya, but I wasn't sure if I was going to get Hank at the time, and I don't think Hank actually ended up responding. So I knew Brandon had to vote for his own survival, and that meant Burn in this case because for Brandon's game, Brandon's ideal final 3, in my opinion, at that point was also going to be Hank and you. For him to do that, he'd have to get rid of both me, Burn, and also Priya eventually.
Thank you.
I also want to add that, Posky, you said like I wasn't like a threat, which a lot like basically you're saying that like Priya was a bigger threat than me, right?
Well, I think Anish at that point would just like let you fall if he thought you were a bigger threat than Priya. But I mean, maybe I think I'm underestimating your.
You're underestimating my like
close
safety without powers and like just trusting Anish as well, right?
Well, I feel like. Well, I don't think at Final 6, I don't think Anish is like making decisions based on like loyalty that much because I mean his game's either like I'm either winning challenges or I'm going home. So like I think he's just trying to set himself up for like the best possible Final 3. So I think he would have voted. I mean, I guess like we can ask Anish again. Like, if you thought that Bernard was a bigger threat than Priya at Final 6, Anish, would you have just cut Bernard loose and just kept going, or would you still have idled for him even if you thought Bernard was like stronger?
If I thought Burn was like the bigger threat, I actually would have flipped on him in Final 5 because the vote was too. No, not that night. No, I'm saying if I thought like I idled because I needed Priya out. I wanted Priya out. I thought she was the biggest threat in the game. Her social connections. She had a lot of former villains on the jury, and I thought she'd be able to make a pretty good case for herself. She has like one of the better social games out of the group. So I just wanted to get her out of the way because I thought she was the biggest threat at the time. I needed Burn's vote to do that. I considered letting Burn go and then dropping a challenge Final 5 and then letting them all target me while I vote Priya and idle her out that way as well. I thought potentially keeping Burn and Hank with me in a Final 5 situation, had I lost the challenge, there was like some small chance that I thought maybe they'd be able to not vote me out. And, it was just a bunch of things running through. But yes, I did think Priya was the bigger threat at that point in time, which is why I idled.
Okay. Yeah, those count as my question then. So thank you everybody for your responses.
All right, next person voted out, Yowdy.
All right. First of all, congratulations on making Final 3. I got the same question for all 3 of you guys. Tell me why the other 2 people don't deserve to win the game over you. Give me their biggest mistakes, their biggest blunders, why you think that they shouldn't be winning the $100. I guess we can start with Anish.
Well, I guess it is kind of that Final 6 situation where Baron basically was insisting the entire time that he was safe. That there was no way Priya was going to flip on him, that it was going to be an easy vote off for Brandon. The 5 of us would stay strong again. And if it's any indication in the game, like top 8 Tribal 8, no one stayed strong. There was a couple of flips. Tribal 9, Tristan flipped over to S. That's what led to the subsequent vote outs of Posky and yourself. And then even at Tribal 13, when me, Burn, Tristan, we all flipped to join Priya and Ian and everyone. So I knew the 5 wasn't going to stay strong, and I knew that Burn was going to be targeted, and I needed Priya out. I wanted to idle there, but Burn was actually the entire time including in tribal, he refused. Like, can I refuse the idol? That's what he asked Jeff. And I mean, obviously he couldn't, and it worked out. So he was gonna die if I didn't idol there, and he didn't even want the idol because he thought he was that safe.
Yeah, I thought that was Bernard's like biggest flaw as well. Is like he couldn't, like he didn't realize that he was gonna get flipped on, and that like he should have built like better connections. And then as I stated earlier, I didn't really like Anish's strategy. I think it was way too risky, and I think like the person to win Soul Survivor, it should be someone that has a reliable strategy that he could fall back on instead of just hoping that he wins the challenges until the end. While it was impressive, I don't think it's a great strategy to go with.
Well, I was gonna just talk about that one vote where I thought we didn't need the idol. So the reason I thought we didn't need the idol was because I thought that we would need the idol more the vote afterwards, basically. And I thought that if we couldn't win this vote tonight, that we would probably, and if you lost the next vote, or if you lost the challenge next vote, that one of us would be going home anyways. So I kind of wanted to save the idol for that vote. And I kind of I didn't trust Priya, but I trusted Hank to continue to vote with us. But I guess there was a wrong thought process. But thank you for saving me, Anish. But for my weaknesses, I want to say that Anish's weaknesses is like what everyone else has said, is that he heavily relies on challenges. And clearly, I had to step in to like kind of like give him an option of safety in one of the challenges, or after losing one of the challenges. And he didn't use the offer, but it was in the air. And that even if he left, we would still be going to rocks after that vote. So it's not like we'd be losing a vote, the entire vote after that as well. I think also, if one of his biggest weaknesses was that he also, like, well, not one of his weaknesses, but I felt like I kind of used him in a way by gaining so much trust from him, by giving him like the safety without powers and stuff. And that's kind of my strategy going forward. And we needed a niche strategically as well to get rid of that Enrique, Brandon, and Carson alliance, as none of us were sure how many more idols they had. None of us were sure if Enrique would keep winning challenges, as he's probably the second best challenger. So strategically, I thought I played a pretty good game in that sense, and kind of organizing what my final 8 or 6 would have been. But that's for you guys to decide, I guess.
All right, and then I also want to follow up with Bernard and Hank. So if Anish would have lost that final 5, would you guys have voted him out?
Yeah, I probably would have voted him out, and I'm sure it'd be pretty easy to get everyone else to vote him out as well.
Yeah, I would have voted him out. As well.
I mean, part of my strategy was him. I was assuming he was going to win the rest of the challenges. The rest of the people in the game after that point was me, Hank, and Tristan, and Brandon. None of us were really great challenge players. And I kind of just knew that he was going to win the rest of the game, most likely.
Yeah, similar response to Burn. Yeah, I knew if we got Anish out, it'd be me, Burn, Brandon, and Tristan. I didn't really think Tristan had a good chance at the end, but I think I probably would have picked Tristan over Brandon. I probably would have got Brandon out just because I think I'd face better against Tristan.
Yeah, that's all I have.
Okay, thank you, Yowdy. Ian, you're up.
Okay. I guess my first question is for Anish. And you already said, like, during your intro that, like, being AFK was kind of part of your strategy. And just, like, a specific instance of that. Like, when I was voted out, there was a kind of a flip where Alex told Enrique that I had told him that we're gonna switch to Brandon, and that decision I made was mainly based on the fact that you had not responded to my messages or calls, or I guess anyone's 15 minutes roughly before the tribal started, and then you immediately came into tribal with your torch. So was that part of your strategy, or was that like legitimately being AFK?
It wasn't 15 minutes. It was 5. There's a timestamp.
Okay,
it was 10:55.
Yeah, okay, yeah, 5. Sorry, 5 minutes.
It was you messaged me at 10:55 and you said, Can you add me on Discord real quick? I need you to join a call. And then everyone sent me Brandon messages. So, I mean, it wasn't like a lot of time for me to find you on Discord, add you, and then join your call.
Right,
So I
right.
feel
Okay,
like,
yeah.
I mean, like
So
if it was 15, I would have actually, given you the time and joined the call. But I feel like with 5, like 57, I think 10:57 is actually when the call message came. 55 is when you first reached out.
Okay, I mean, yeah, that I understand that. I guess that's my only question for you. The other ones have kind of been answered. I guess for Burn, who, like, let's say post merge, who of your number one alliance has been, and if they got voted out, who was your plan to be your next number one alliance person, I guess?
So going to merge, I knew there's like a handful of people that I really wanted to work with, and I knew I could also trust. The number one was being Enrique. I was really close to him pre-merge in the Heroes Alliance, and he actually was the one who was able to feed me information about his idols. He also gave me information about what the dynamics were in Simia when I was stolen there or kidnapped there. So I was given from him, and I also trusted him a lot, and thought that we could go pretty far together. At a certain point, I kind of felt that he was starting to get closer to the Ball brothers, and that's when I eventually flipped on him and like his alliance. But that's one of the main alliances I felt that I was pretty close with. I also thought me and Brandon, me and Anish, and me and Priya, I thought those 3 combos would have been pretty. I thought we could work pretty well together and could also trust their information as well. But yeah, I thought I had like a lot of people going into merge who I could trust that I could even talk to and just gather information from as well.
Okay. And then I guess for Hank, I guess most people have asked like the questions I want to ask, but like maybe just to reiterate, like what do you think, what was one good play you made in this game, you think, or your best play? Because it seems like your strategy has been just to lay low and be carried to the end. And while it did get you to the end, like what separates you from the other 2 people that have also gotten to the end? While like apparently, or according to them, have made more plays than you have.
I think just a big play of mine, or a couple of big plays of mine, is just finding the right people, and then also, like picking, like there was a couple times on the challenges where I would like seek out for like what other people got on their scores, so I could be in the middle, and I think that takes like some bit of strategy in itself. But then even other than that, a lot of the times towards the end, I was the deciding vote. Like there was many chances for me to flip, and those choices not to flip were most of my big plays, I would say.
Okay, so just sticking with what you thought was the majority or the best alliance.
Yeah, or sticking with people and showing that I was reliable, and that like if they stayed with me, they'd come to the end with me.
Okay. And then I kind of forgot this, but one quick question for Anish. If you had lost a challenge, let's say post top 6 or top 5, like what would your plan would have been? Because you were clearly the number one target, given that if you didn't win a challenge.
I mean, Final 4 is, I guess, the one where I couldn't have lost no matter what. Because Final 5, I did have the idol. Had I lost in 6, I would have also idled there. Kind of just it. I was slightly relying on the Burn Hank alliance as well, but I had to win Final 4. I had to win that challenge.
Okay. That's all I got.
I actually want to rewind a little bit to when Yowdy had asked you all. You both said that if Anish had lost the challenge, then he would not, he wouldn't be here, which, is reasonable. Anish is clearly, proven himself to be a very strong player. But my question is, how can you see Anish as like he's got to go given any opportunity, but then also claim that like it's a good strategy to just, I don't know, just lay low, I guess. Like,
My strategy wasn't mostly like I guess you could classify it as laying low, but it was mostly sticking to loyalty. And I wasn't loyal to Anish at any part of the game, unless you count like the last vote. But for the last vote, it was pretty cut and dry that Tristan was getting out.
Is that it?
Yeah, that's
Okay.
it. Yeah, I thought Burn was gonna say something.
There was a question for me.
I thought it was for both of us, no?
it was kind of about you, but it doesn't really matter.
Was there a second part to the question? Did I miss a part?
No.
Oh, okay.
There was a question. I could answer it. I thought it was for Hank, honestly.
I was just confused as to how you had both mentioned that, you know, Anish was obviously such a strong player, and that, but then also say that like his strategy was bad, like inconsistent, maybe, but.
So you're saying you're
have-
thinking that a challenge only strategy is good? Is what you're saying?
I don't think Anish played a challenge only strategy. I think he just it was obviously beneficial, and it allowed him to be more aggressive, so to speak.
But was he actually aggressive with that or no?
Can point out one thing in Tribal 13, the tribal where the safety without powers expired. The alliance that included both Burn and Hank and everyone, they could have actually taken me out there and continued their numbers game, and they still didn't.
Wait, which vote?
And I wasn't safe. Tribal 13.
What was the numbers?
So wasn't that the vote against Enrique?
Yeah.
No, that was
No,
14.
that was the vote against. Was that the one you showed your safety and did not play it?
I showed safety in 12. I showed it in 12, and then 13, I had conversations with actually Enrique and Alex at the time, and there was some indication. Also, I had a conversation with Priya as well. There was some indication that Tristan might have flipped had I actually evacuated myself there, because it would have been, I think there might have been 8 people left at that point. So I didn't want to do that and lose my potential majority. So that is, because I needed Enrique gone as well. In my head, Enrique was the other challenge that if I got over that hurdle, which I did in Tribal 14, I would be able to win out for challenges.
Does anyone else have anything to say or ask? Or should we move on to our next jury member? Okay. Carson already went, so Alex, you're up.
Okay, so I guess I'll start with Anish. So you sort of mentioned that going into Merge, you sort of saw a lot of like the other challenge threats as like hurdles with Yowdy, Enrique, and Carson. So can you like let us in on like sort of your game plan and how you were able to like successfully lay low, sort of like during that phase of the game?
Okay, so that first night, Tribal 8, the formation of the 6. So that night, there was like a conversation I had with Carson. So Brandon reached out to me because there was the threat was on Carson. There was like a talk about a split on Carson. Brandon was mentioned in that. There was actually a group chat made with the villains. I think Yowdy might have led it. It was called the split vote or something like that. And the intention was to get either Carson or Brandon out, or flush Carson's idol and take Brandon out. So I actually reached out to Carson. I think she might have been working at the time. I'm not too sure on that part. And I was suggesting a 5 that included Brandon, Jared, Byrne, Enrique, and myself. And Carson actually said, if this is actually happening and we have the 6 of us together, then there's no way the Simian villains actually have the majority and can do the split like we mentioned. And I said, yeah, that's because Enrique and I would be the ones flipping. And I actually made a group chat. I was the first to make the group chat. Byrne actually even thought it was his group chat when we started talking in it. And in the chat, Brandon actually wanted to target Priya. And my thing was that I felt like I could also ride pretty far with Byrne. I thought we'd both be good votes for one another. So I didn't want to target Priya that night. And I also still wanted Posky out. So he said he actually valued my target input. It's all in the chat. And because he knew I was unsafe, and he knew that people would start targeting me for my challenge prowess, based on like conversations we had in other tribals. And so I actually said I think we should switch the target to Posky. And then that night, Posky, obviously, we rocked and Jared went. But then the next night, Posky was gone. And that was very out of my own interest as well. Because a couple seasons ago, Final Four, he actually out-challenged me. And I think he won that season too. So I needed him gone. I also needed Yachty gone. And Jared, unfortunately, was rocked out, but he was also a challenge threat for me. And then Enrique was the final one. So kind of like using Enrique as leverage to mitigate like my own challenge there, because like, oh, Enrique has like had at least 3 idols. He's won 2 immunities in a row. He won 12 and 13 in a row. He's a big threat, and so that for that reason, I think everyone also wanted to keep me around, and it works out in my favor because I can use him as like a shield as well, and be like, oh, I need to beat Enrique. We need to beat Enrique. We need to take out his idol immunity threat, and I knew once Enrique was gone, I was much going to carry challenges.
Okay.
As the final hurdle.
Yeah. Okay, that's more or less sort of where I was thinking. Okay, then I guess my next question is for Burn. So like you knew that, from what I had understood talking with you, that you were kind of aware of, right, that sort of like there was like a limited amount of people who were good at challenges left in the game, and that you were also allied with, you're also allied with Anish. So how do you think you would have been able to, like, what was your strategy going into like that final like 6 or 7? Did you have like a way in mind that you felt like you could have skipped ahead of everybody and become one of the controlling players in the game? Or did you sort of see your path to the final 3 as being like relatively laid back, letting other people kind of like take charge in the game, especially as, like when it came to challenges and stuff?
I mean, it's kind of, I feel like control is kind of a weird question, especially when it's like just making chats with a bunch of people. I mean, who really owns the chat of me, Anish, Priya, and Hank? I don't know. But at the end of the day, I think we all have pretty similar opinions on who to vote that night, and we all come together with a very similar opinion as well to vote that person out. I definitely thought like I said before, I thought being a close ally to Anish kind of gave me allowed me to have a meat shield and always have a number consistently, as Anish would never be one of the voting members or one of the members being voted out. But yeah, I think I hope that answered your question. But
I was just kind of like trying to see, because it sounds like to me you sort of had a clear long-term path in mind about how he'd be able to win. And obviously he does have that like win condition of challenges that might make things a little easier for him. But I was interested to see if you sort of like saw that way for yourself and how you'd be able to like set yourself up with like a really favorable final tribal situation.
I mean, in terms of final tribal, I honestly thought Anish didn't have much of an edge on me in the first place. I didn't think anyone in that tribal final 8, except for maybe Priya, really had like a crazy like story to back themselves up with. I mean, I'm not sure. I mean, clearly I'm not going to know what plays everyone has made, but at least from my standpoint, I didn't think there were many plays made in the first place. But I guess I'll find out after this, or if people want to talk about their plays. But yeah, I thought I made a good amount of plays pre-merge as well, and I thought I was also a pretty big kind of like, I guess I wouldn't be like, I guess the leader or controller of groups that kind of led votes, and I basically knew how every single vote and every single person would be voting basically every night pre-merge, and I thought that's pretty important to everyone's game, to anyone's game.
Then I guess my last question is for Hank. So I think you sort of laid out how you thought you were making it to the end, but I guess kind of like my concern is like the difference between playing passively versus playing defensively, because the way that you sort of interacted with everybody who you weren't directly allied with was like intentionally very stubborn and very short, and you were never, you never flip. You're never going to say that you wanted to flip, but you weren't even like talking about like basic things. So I think kind of like my concern is that it feels like almost the entirety of the game was just putting your stock into a few other people and just sort of sitting back and hoping that they were the ones who would come out on top. I don't think you really like. That's kind of my concern. Is what do you think you could have done in the event that either some idle plays or some flips had happened, or like the safety with power thing that Anish was hinting at? What do you think you would have been able to do in a situation where the people who you hadn't talked to at all in the game or made any effort to reach out to were suddenly the majority, and then you would be on the chopping block?
Well, like to back your like kind of story up a little bit there, like I made sure to choose people that I knew were either not going to be in the minority for long, or I knew that were going to carry me through and like not flip back on me. Oh, I forgot the other first part of that question, but
I mean, my point was that there were like multiple plays that you didn't have a direct influence over that could have flipped the number. So I wasn't. So unless you've somehow stopped Anish from using his safety without power, and stopped Enrique and like somehow influenced Enrique's idle plays, then your alliance could have lost the numbers. And then I don't really know how you like exerted influence in a way that kept the people who you wanted to work with in the majority.
So, I kind of use my, like you said earlier, like me putting stock into like certain people, but I knew even if those people were like going down, I always had like a plan B of like another person I could like latch onto for the time being until I found better footing with another alliance. Earlier you were talking about, you keep mentioning it and I keep forgetting, about how, oh yeah, that's what it is. About how like I was playing defensively and like how I would be very stubborn to those who like I wasn't directly allied with. That was all on purpose, just to make sure that like my alliance knew I was going to be loyal to them. And if you weren't on my team, you knew you weren't on my team. So if like one of the people on the other team like was like, oh, Hank's going to flip on you, like my team probably wouldn't believe it because they know I'm being stubborn to almost everybody that's not on my team. And it was more of an indicator than a defensive play.
Right, but that's true. But my question was like specifically, what if you weren't in a situation where you could just stay true to an alliance that was like, how did you influence the game to keep those people in the majority? And what would you have done in the case that didn't work out?
I like always just, like I said, like I always picked people that I made sure weren't going to be put in that position. And my influence, like the only way you could possibly like influence that you're still in the majority is either by recruiting new people or consistently making sure the person or like someone on your team is winning the challenge, and then also like make sure that you have like the big enough voting block, right? So obviously I didn't want to be in that first spot of winning every challenge because that would put a target on my head. And recruiting new people is hard when you're like turning everybody back and making sure that people know that you're still on their team. So that was like the way I kind of went about this, and it was really my only option. Like in the kind of strategy that I was playing, like there was no, it was either plan B or keep with the strategy.
Okay.
Is that it, Alex?
Yeah, that's all for me.
All right. Next up, we got Enrique.
Hello. Congratulations to you three for making it to the final. I'm very sick right now, and I couldn't really come up with any extra questions. Other people asked all my stuff, but I guess I do have some. I guess like some things I'm not sure about. So, Burn, you gave Anish safety without power, right?
Yeah.
Did you get that from when Brandon won that basketball reward challenge?
Yeah, I did.
Okay. So you just did you find it like right away and just delete everything, or did Brandon?
Yeah, I found it right away and like deleted everything.
Okay. Wow, all right. That's cool. I didn't realize that. It kind of answers.
I mean,
kind of half answered by, because I asked Anish about it. And he never, for one, he was like, he was playing the FK strategy, which is very good strategy. Turns out. I didn't even realize I didn't realize you were doing it on purpose, Anish. That was crazy. Sorry, Bert, do you want to say something, Bert? Sorry.
The thing about that, like a reward was like, it's like I felt like it was a pretty useless reward unless it was like someone who had a really huge threat in the game.
No, I agree.
I thought that was probably the best move to give it to Anish almost.
Yeah, I agree.
I mean, it's either I lose a vote or I give it to someone who doesn't want to get voted off. That was a great way to gain some trust with Anish as well.
Yeah, I agree. And then the idol that Anish had, did you know that he had that? I'm assuming he got that from the reward challenge where you guys went on the.
Yeah, he found it like a minute after we finished the reward, and we did it in the same chat together.
Oh, okay. All right.
So I knew going in that he trusted me to also know about the idol, and I assumed that we were kind of sharing the idol and like just the way we were playing the game and the way we talked about it. And
So if
we
you-
also looked for the idol together, technically. But I guess it's up to me.
So would you say that you shared it, or that like it was mainly just Anish? It was up to Anish to use it however he wanted to.
I mean, at the end of the day, it's his.
If you had
I
found
can't
that idol
control it.
and like, say Anish was in a situation where he was going to get voted out, would you have used it on him?
Yeah, I probably would have used it on him. The thing is, we found it with 2 votes left.
Yeah.
And we would literally have to use it that day or the day after. And Anish won both of them anyways.
Mm-hmm. All right. Yeah, I don't really have like any other things. Hank, looking swell. You're looking swell.
Thank you, man. Thank you.
Good luck to you guys. You know, hopefully we'll see how we decide to vote. I've kind of made up my mind, but there's still definitely time to sway it.
Yeah, I appreciate you voting for me.
Yes, Vernon and Anish, you guys need to start explaining more. But yeah, good luck.
All right, thank you, Enrique. Priya, you're up.
All right, guys, congratulations. That was a really good blindside, by the way. So I think part of the fault was definitely on me. I made the mistake of telling Anish that I thought that Bernard might be safe, but that was my own stupidity because I thought there was a chance he would give Bernard his immunity necklace and we could save Bernard and vote Anish out. But that was my own mistake because I thought that maybe I thought the immunity necklace would have to be given up after the votes were cast versus before the votes were cast. So I don't know. That was my own mistake. So good play, Anish. But this question is towards Anish. Given I played almost the exact opposite game as you, I didn't win a single challenge, barely came close to winning any of the challenges. I didn't find any idols, although I kind of came close to the one Enrique found. And I relied heavily on social connections. Can you convince me that you truly played the 3 components of Survivor? Right now, my hesitation with voting for you is that I never really felt like we talked strategy, even though I messaged you about strategy all the time. So I often just didn't think that you had a strategy because I literally had no idea what you were thinking throughout the time we were allied.
I don't think you were here during my opening speech, but I like when people talk strategy to me. I don't want to like necessarily divulge as much information as other people. So I like to play like the indecisive type person. I don't know what I'm doing. Well, I want to challenge. You guys can have my vote type of game because it allows me to like decipher more information and exploit that as much as I want to. So a lot of the times, if you would talk strategy to me, that's like kind of how I knew that you were going to flip on Burn that one night. There's like a lot of different instances, and like even in Tribal 11, when I was talking to Alex, Brandon, and Enrique around then, I think that was a tribal we might have flipped on. Like I knew I wasn't in their core 4, obviously, and I just wanted information from them. So a lot of the time I would just feign the indecisive AFK vote because they reach out more and more because they want me in their, they want their vote. They want my vote, essentially. So they start feeding me more and more information. I can use that to make any sort of determination I want to. So like I was AFK, but I wasn't really AFK, if that makes sense. Most of the time I
Yeah.
just wanted more info.
I feel like you
So like
played
that's
that really
my
well.
element of the social game, I guess. It's not necessarily, I mean, I had connections and such, but it wasn't like I was trying to, I didn't want to place an unnecessary target on my back because there's several tribals where Jeff's mentioned that, you've won Survivor before, you've won challenges before. So there's already some attention on me because of those things. so I didn't want any more attention on me if I like tried to emerge as like a leader or tried to like lead a vote essentially. So I acted like, oh, I don't know what I'm doing, I'm indecisive, sort of thing, just to get more information out of people. And I think it worked out in my favor a lot of the times because I knew where the votes were going most night.
Yeah, I think it worked in your favor for sure. I feel like a lot of people can play that route and then kind of get fucked over because they seem like sketchy because they're AFK. So I don't know. For the most part, I think it played in your favor. It sounds like Ian didn't feel like that was a secure way to move forward, but it sounds like it played in your favor for everyone else. All right, that helps. So for Bernard, I feel like every good Survivor player has a turning point or a move that like really charts their path to the end. What move or what point in the game was that for you and why?
The biggest, like I said, I don't know if you're here, but I thought the biggest move I had was when I actually made, right before merge, I made basically you believe that Jared had leaked the information of you and Ben and Jared voting out Brandon. I had lied to you, I guess, basically, that Jared had leaked it. You got really mad at Jared. You eventually ended up voting with all of us. Me, Brandon, and Carson were kind of scared of the idle play. We were also scared of Jared actually sticking with the plan of voting Brandon. But we ended up not even having a single vote on Brandon. We somehow got you to vote Ben, me to vote Ben, Jared to vote Ben, because I didn't want you to be voted out because I thought I could trust you and use you as another vote coming like post marriage. And basically, I somehow managed to keep both my alliances that I thought were pretty strong, which are you and Brandon. I got to keep both of you guys going into marriage, even though both of you guys ended up being the main targets right before voting. And then I also kind of felt like I gained control of the game at that point in the game, knowing that we were going to be going into merge with mainly heroes plus Carson, and then it'd be villains plus Hank. And if Ben had stayed in that, it'd probably end up being mainly villains versus not too many heroes. And I knew this information because Enrique had told me all about it when I visited him. And he said that basically they needed desperate help as soon as we got there. And literally, right when we got there, that's exactly what happened. It was villains versus heroes plus Hank and Carson switching, basically. Basically, I felt like I knew exactly what was going to go on for the next 3 votes after that, and basically it did happen. I don't know if you consider that a play or what, but I thought it was a good play and helped me strategically going forward.
No, I definitely think that was a play. I believed you. I thought that Jared flipped on us right after he approached myself and Ben to become an alliance. So I guess it wasn't that surprising, but it was surprising at the same time that he flipped right away. My follow-up question to that is, did you see yourself as a strong player in a Carson, Brandon, you alliance, or did you feel like it was a Brandon, Carson alliance where you would have just been a number in that alliance and that's why you chose to go with them versus go with myself and Ben?
Well, I ended up going with Dom over you and Ben, mainly because I felt like you almost backstabbed me by saying that we got Jared to vote Brandon before we got you, if that makes sense. So that's one of the main reasons I went with Dom first. And I thought I was pretty close with Brandon. Eventually he told me that him and Carson's his number 1, and that eventually led me to eventually just leave that group at the end of the day, which happened post-marriage. But I also I didn't want you and Ben to be close as well, because I knew that I wanted to work with you post-marriage. And you kept telling me how close you were with Ben. Yaudi also, when I visited Yaudi, he was saying that you were close with Priya. I just knew that going into merge, I knew that villains were going to be pretty close, just from speaking with you guys and with my visit into Simia tribe.
That helps.
Strategically, I think one of my biggest plays was also just whenever I saw that someone an alliance had too much power, I just wanted to break it up. I didn't want these huge alliances to be forming consistently. Some examples were like the vote before Ben got voted out, Sean was voted out. That was me flipping to you and Ben because I thought Sean was starting to gain too much power over Brandon and Jared, which were the other heroes, right? So I flipped to you guys. Then the vote right after that, I flipped back to them, and we also gained Carson. So I just felt like in order to keep control of the game was to break up alliances, and that's literally what happened the entire game. Post merge, you would see that it was villains versus heroes basically. We got rid of Toski Yowdy. Once we were able to kind of start getting power, we voted out Enrique. Then I flipped to you guys again to break up the Carson, Enrique, Brandon alliance, which I started feeling like they were going to start getting too strong. I feel like it was a lot of flipping to just control the alliances in the game.
Okay, I like that answer. It helps me understand what your strategy was. So thank you for that. And then Hank, last question. So I was really surprised by that comment you made about me being your closest ally. I know that we did vote together, but as a group and as any group dynamic, I feel like there's always closer ties within the larger group. And I never thought that we were a closer tie within that larger group. It just felt like we were all just part of a voting block versus like myself and Tristan, I considered like Tristan one of my closest allies throughout the game. And I think he would probably say the same. But you mentioned wanting to stay close with myself and to Burn. Why did you decide to vote with us, like myself, Tristan, Brandon? Why did you decide to vote with us on the vote that I ended up getting blindsided on? And why did you want to flip on Bernard at that moment, considering he was probably one of your first allies?
Well, Burn wasn't one of my first allies. I wanted to flip on him because I knew that Anish was kind of getting too strong, and like we needed someone to like lessen their kind of voting block. So getting either Burn out was like a closer step to getting Anish out, which was like one of the like bigger threats in the game because I really didn't expect Anish to keep winning the challenges. I thought he was gonna slip up. Josh is gonna throw some some easier challenges. I'm not gonna lie. Well, some of the challenges, like I definitely thought I was gonna do. Like there was definitely some challenges where I thought I did a lot better than everybody else, and then everybody else kind of showed me up. But ultimately, I knew getting burnout was one way closer to getting Anish out. And that's my answer.
Yeah, that's a good answer. That's what I wanted to do too, and then it did not work. But yeah, I think that's it.
What made you believe that we didn't like we weren't like mostly on the same page, or like we weren't the most?
Yeah, I feel like
because I felt like I was pretty agreeable towards you.
You were. That's the thing though. Like I feel like my closest allies in this game were people that I like talked about strategy with, and I never felt like we talked about like strategy about moving forward or who we want to vote out, other than confirming what the larger group was saying. Yeah, that's the same way I felt with Anish. So maybe that was just the strategy there. So yeah, I think that's it.
All right.
All right then. Brandon, you're up.
Hello, how is it, Mike?
It's okay.
How is it when I rested? Can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Hello all three. Ironically enough, 3 people I had on my do not vote for list. And somehow you guys were all on the Heroes Tribe. I still don't understand this. But
we all like heroes, man.
Yeah, I'd like to, this may have been brought up about the again about the 6-person vote. Yeah, Anish, I remember messaging you while I was AFK until 9:30, and I tried to get a hold of you for a Priya vote, which I was certainly open to, but at this point I had already been solidified to voting Burn, and but yeah, I assumed it was Hank or Tristan that tipped you off accidentally, but you've told me that it was Priya that slipped up, which surprised me. But I don't think I slipped up in any way. Can you talk again about that? How you made that read?
You didn't, sorry, slip up. I mean, you did make that one group chat, very last, or like close to like maybe 10 or 15 minutes before, saying Priya, and I think it was a group chat with me, Tristan, Burn, and yourself. But that wasn't necessarily like the giver away of information. I think it was mostly a slip up where she essentially said that I don't think Burn's safe tonight. I thought she was trying to make a play for my immunity necklace. There was like potential there where she might have thought, oh, I was going to give it away to Burn. Wasn't really 100% sure what she was trying to accomplish there. But yeah, that was like basically a clear indicator. Like the fact that she said she thought Burn was in danger, and she said that you were the only one she thought she was in danger from, makes, like little to no sense because there's only 6 people left. And then also I knew that you needed to survive as, like whatever way possible, which means you would vote with them, considering at the time Burn actually wasn't convinced that we should vote Priya. And so that's just how it went. I told him to vote Priya, but he told me not to play the idol. And then I ended up playing the idol anyway because I knew that you guys were going to vote him. I just told him that because I needed him to stay with the vote instead of voting you, because then it would have been a 1-1 split. I vote you, or I vote Priya, he votes you, and the 4 of you vote him, and it doesn't work out well. So I wanted him to vote Priya regardless. So I said I wouldn't play the idol, and then I do.
Why did you vote Priya instead of me there?
I just thought Priya had was a bigger threat in the final tribal at that point. I thought she also had a lot of former villains on the jury at the time. There was potential lobbying. There's like a lot of different elements that I was considering when I thought Priya would be the ideal target to remove. And I also knew that Hank was loyal to both Burn and Priya. There was one point in time where he said his final 4 is Burn, Priya, myself, and himself, I guess. And so I knew that if Priya was gone, his loyalty would flip back over to Burn.
Okay. Burn, this is actually a complete shock to me that you found the basketball jam board, because I got in there. I didn't get in there right away. That's my fault for not. But yeah. I mean, Josh must have made this thing find right a little too easy. I don't know how you.
Oh, I mean, it wasn't I actually went in after you, but it took me about 20 minutes to find it.
Did you went in after me? What did you find that I didn't?
It was just a clue behind the background. You just have to move the background.
No, I know. I moved every background I could.
No, there's a background to the background, and you use it to move it. And then once I found it, I deleted it.
Yeah, but I did that too. But I don't know if the deletes were remaining there. What was the clue? Was it just safety without power?
Yeah, just safety without powers.
Yeah, I found every clue except that. So I guess you got. I don't know. Yeah, I guess you got it first. Anyways, yeah, it surprised me, and you convinced me. We talked in real life and after poker, and yeah, you certainly had me. You told a good, proper lie when it made sense why you would not reveal that information there.
Mm-hmm.
I thought I was withholding something from you because I found a fake clue, but I told you. I ended up telling you about.
Yeah.
So yeah, but my question is, when did you give it to Anish, and why? Again, you probably said this a bit, but it seems like a I was shocked. Yeah, shocked that you gave it to him and that he didn't find it.
I gave it the night of when the vote was either going to be, there's going to be Anish, me, Priya, and Ian, I think. Well, basically, Anish lost that challenge that one day, and it was either going to be a 4-4 split or going to be a 5-4 split, and we weren't 100% sure on whether or not I think it was Tristan, was fully on our side or not. But basically, I gave it to him knowing that Enrique was going to win the game if he made it to end. And he was also one of the best challengers in the game left after Anish. And I told him, I was like, you should leave and we'll just go to rocks if we have to. And which Anish could have done it and we would have probably went to rocks because the numbers lied correctly. But also, I know that Tristan said something about how he would flip if Anish ended up playing it. So I guess it ended up not being too useful, but it was an option for him to use. And I also felt like there's a way for me to somehow use this award that wasn't too useful to me and gain some trust from Anish, which I guess ended up doing pretty well as he brought me to the escape room event and ended up using an idol for me. So strategically, it helped me out a lot, I think.
Tristan wasn't going to flip Tribal 12 where he gave me safety without power. He was trying to flip Tribal 13.
Yeah,
Tribal
to
12
tag
is...
onto that. Oh, go ahead.
Anish, I don't really know the numbers. When I think of a tribal, I think of how many people are left. Can you elaborate what tribals these are?
I know I gave it to you when there's 9 people left because it was either going to be rocks or 5-4.
Yeah, Tribal 12, I think that's the Ian tribal, maybe? I have to remember for sure.
Oh, is that the one that ended up being 2 idols played? Even though you leave?
Okay,
12 was the...
Oh, no,
Carson,
that
11,
Tribal 12
11
is the
was
Carson vote out. Yeah, sorry.
Okay,
yeah,
so-
a couple of you voted for me, and then everyone else voted for Carson. Enrique misplayed idol on Brandon. You.
Okay. I would misplay unless you're just saying he should have held his idols for himself. I don't know. It seemed like if we got that right, we could have retained something. As I said, I did not. Hold on. Last thing about the safety of power. Why did you choose to reveal its knowledge and then not play it? What was the thought process?
A lot of it was to gain information because it caused a giant scramble during at Tribal. A lot of people were starting to message group chats, not just individually. So only Tribals before that, it was like Hank whispered to Tristan or Brandon whispered to Enrique or something like that, and Anish whispered to Burn. But at that Tribal 12, once I used that power, it changes everything because you guys, all 4 of you, I think, were voting me that night. That's what happened. All 4 of you voted me. I think it was you, Alex, Carson, and Enrique. So that just kind of puts it into scramble mode a little bit. Get information, see what chats are popping up. That also confirms that neither Hank or Tristan flipped for that vote. It makes me know I'm safe for sure, and it also it's just an information type of. That's what I used it for.
My regret is not. As soon as you said you're not playing it, my regret was not going ape shit in Tribal, convincing everyone to vote you out right then. And yeah, but you survived that and you got to hold it, which allowed you power. I think you lost Tribal the next challenge, I believe.
I did, yes.
Which also had you had the option to use it or not. You said you held it for the reasons of you felt you were safe enough, and the risk of flipping would have hindered you in the future votes. Not flipping, but evacuating.
Tristan, there was some indication that Tristan was going to flip. I had a conversation with Priya earlier in that day as well, and she actually said she was also a little bit wary of Tristan's position and how he might flip to you guys that night. So I knew that playing the power was the most likely option for him to do it. But if I didn't, he wouldn't want to go to rocks again. That's why he flipped originally, and that's kind of why he wouldn't have flipped there in that situation, because it would have been a 4v4 had I not played the power and he flipped rocks again in that situation. So I held the power. He didn't go to rocks. He stayed with us, and then we managed to vote another one of you out in 13.
To add to that, that was when I was in a chat with Enrique and Brandon and myself, and there was one more, I can't remember. I think it was Alex, and I was the deciding factor. And I told Enrique, I said, if Anish does use his power, it forces me to vote with him to where I don't want to go to rocks. And then if he did use his power, then I could stay with you. They lose a vote, and it will be 4-3 us. And then Enrique leaked information giving Anish the knowledge to not have to play it, where it forced me to stay on his side.
It's kind of that thing, the indecisive thing, where I tried getting some information from Enrique that way.
Yo, really quick, I'm just quick pause. Hank, do you still have to leave like nowish?
No, I'm good. No, I'm good. I got everything figured out.
All right, dope. All right, we can continue then.
Okay, last couple questions. All right, obviously you guys were, Bernard and Nishi were part of our, we'll call it Hero plus Carson alliance. And you guys both were the two that flipped. I'll have Burn talk first. Burn, can you tell me who orchestrated that flip and why?
I'm gonna believe that I orchestrated it, but I mean, obviously, Anish is probably gonna have a similar opinion to me.
Okay, well, you tell me. So you tell me who.
At the end of the day, the main reason I flipped was because I felt that. So the trial before that, I noticed that you, Enrique, and Carson were starting to get really close to each other, kind of like pushing me out of it. And I noticed that one reason was because Carson and Enrique ended up whispering right before that tribal vote came out, and Enrique ended up playing one of his idols. And I knew that after that Enrique was no longer one of my closer allies, and he became one of the closer allies with you guys, making me want to be a potential flipper for the next vote. And luckily Anish came along giving us the numbers, but I think it was my move on my own, at least for that flip over. And I definitely knew I couldn't stick with you guys anymore, especially with you saying that you were going to be with Carson. You also kind of felt that I was targeting Carson too much, and obviously that alliance was breaking down, and I needed to move on to a newer alliance.
Well, it didn't break down until you broke it down, I would say.
Yeah, but like my alliance with you, I'm saying. Like,
yeah.
I knew that we weren't going to be a strong duo anymore, if that makes sense. And Enrique, which I thought was going to be a close ally. Started talking to Carson more, asking him for opinions on his idol. I just knew that I was probably on the bottom of that alliance, and had to make the flip.
Respect it. In the moment, obviously, I'm annoyed, but I respect the move, and it made both of you guys to the end. So it seems results oriented. Seems like it's worked out in your favor. Anish, same question to you. Can you tell me about that, and if it was in the works, or what triggered that flip, which changed the whole course of the game?
I had a couple conversations with Alex, I think, that day, because actually our previous conversations between you and I, you always did indicate that even though I was a challenge, that you'd be willing to keep me far. I already knew that Burn was going to flip, and I knew we didn't have Tristan's like full loyalty. I knew Tristan's loyalty was with Priya. So it was more just like a strategic move on my part, because I knew I needed Enrique out. Like that was like one of the bottom line things for me. I needed him gone, because I thought that would be one of my win conditions, challenge winning out. So I needed to flip on him eventually. He already divulged knowledge of two idols to us a couple nights before, at the formation of the Sixers, maybe the vote after Tribal Night 8 or 9, somewhere. It was either the Rocks night or right after the Rocks happened. He told us that. So we already had this knowledge. Carson and Enrique, upon talking to them, they actually also divulged Carson's like reward, I believe. I think he had a reward one of those 2 nights. And so I already had all this information. So it was more beneficial for me to go to the other side, try to take out Enrique, get rid of his idols and his immunity threat / challenge threat towards me. So that was like my mentality. That's the main reason I flipped. I knew Burn was already gone anyway, and I knew Tristan's loyalty was with Priya, so it wasn't like I was gonna stay on like a dying ship essentially. Like, it would have been a 5 versus like 6 or 7 situation there. So I knew it was in my best interest to just leave and target Enrique and use him as like a shield, and it worked out.
That all makes sense. Okay, final thoughts. Yeah, Anish, you were. All right, one more thing, then final thought. Bernard, as I already mentioned this, but yeah, I don't think I was soft until you said I was soft, and I was like, damn, that fucking hurt. Like, I don't know, do you guys? Tristan had a similar response to me. It's like you guys thought I was like taking this shit really personally. I don't know. Was that the vibe I was giving off? Like,
Okay, I just wanted to create some drama.
No,
And it
content's
did.
good. I mean,
Yeah.
I was once Carson left, I had to,
You had to
spice things
scramble it
up.
up. Yeah.
Obviously, the when I called out U4, obviously they're big four plus Tristan, and then everyone's coming to Tristan's defense, blah blah blah. I mean, look, I don't know. I already talked about that, but yeah, like I said, it was my fault. You guys were you guys consciously keeping Priya alive every time I brought up voting her out for this reason, for the timely flip? Was it planned or not? Whoever can talk.
Wait, can you explain? What do you mean?
You guys both, Bernard, you didn't want Priya gone back in the pre-merge.
Yeah.
And then you guys both didn't want her gone post-merge. Was the flip on your mind? Yeah. In the future.
I can kind of talk about it. Yeah, I mean, the flip was always on my mind. I always knew me and Enrique would end up on opposite sides, especially after the idol information. Like, there was no other way for it to work out, in my head at least. Enrique, had he been successful in all of his idol plays and a giant 6 or 7 or whatever at the time stayed the way it was, it would have, poorly for me. I knew as a challenge threat or whatever, I would have been at the bottom of that group. Night, it was kind of a conscious decision to keep Priya alive because I knew I would be very in with Burn had I eventually paired with him, because we already had a pretty good connection regardless. So it was like a win-win sort of situation, keeping Priya alive for a potential flip in the future, while at the same time, helping Burn's connections, and then also taking out Posky. So it was a couple different scenarios all going through my head at once. Taking out a big challenge threat, keeping Priya and the Burn connection alive, that helps me in the future if I need to flip, and so on and so forth.
Okay.
Yeah.
Regarding your AFK strat, I was taken aback when you said that, and I absolutely hate it. It makes you were dreadful to message throughout this entire game, multiple times being left on red / ghosted for days at a time, and it was not appreciative. And now I feel even less good that you've told me it was a strategy. I mean, I wasn't the one. I certainly wasn't divulging info, I believe, and that's what you said the strategy was, but I just really don't like it. It's leaving a bad feeling in my mouth, and I will be voting for Bernard tonight, and I've been rallying the troops for Bernard. Vote Hank. Sorry, I don't have time to address you.
No, I know you meant Hank. It's okay. You don't have to explain your vote.
Surely, I mean, I can give receipts, but there's a couple different big instances on the 25th, the conversation with Enrique, where he's telling me about who he trusts, who he doesn't, what advantages are still in play, things like that, even though we were actually getting close to the opposite of sides at the time. There's another instance on the 29th, Priya, where Priya was telling me about Tristan and how she doesn't necessarily trust him for a vote. There's a lot of different instances where being sort of AFK or acting like I'm indecisive allows them, because they start feeding me more information, especially if I have immunity. They start messaging me more and more because they knew they need my vote for that night. So I know it might not be the best or nicest of strats, because obviously it might piss some people off, but it works out in my favor a lot of the times because I got so much information off of that allowed me to make the reads I did make at crucial times for my game. But yeah, I'm sorry for not leaving you unread and stuff like that.
I have a follow-up question. So how would the AFK strategy have worked if people decided to vote you out and no one came talking to you? How would you have had to adjust that strategy if Carson didn't come into the merge with Posky and I's heads in his crosshairs? If Enrique didn't play 3 or 4 idols and 3 triples, what would you have had to? How would you have pivoted your AFK under the radar strategy if you became the target?
Still Oh, so you're saying had I been targeted early in merge or something like that? Yeah, a lot of the times I still feel I think a big part of the narrative there, because it was a big vengeance game between everyone. It was Carson versus the world, Carson versus the villains, things like that. and Brandon and Enrique became synonymous with the Carson versus the world type of scenario. So I kind of just also use that to my advantage a lot of the times, because given that it was Carson versus the world, or Carson, Enrique, Brandon versus the world, everyone wanted vengeance on the other. Like Carson, Brandon, Enrique, they all wanted Posky. They wanted you out. They wanted Ian out. Carson even actually at times said she did not want to win the game. She just wanted everyone out. And on the flip side, you know, you guys were also kind of doing the same thing. You guys all wanted Carson out really badly. So it kind of allowed me to like throw like a little bit more of like the attention onto them, and like laid, you know, like under the radar just a little bit, because I knew I'd be targeted for challenges eventually. And it also allowed me to like, oh, you know, Carson hates Posky a lot. We should probably target Posky before Priya. We need Posky gone. You know, Posky, like everyone hates him, you know, sort of things like that. Not like in the sense that everyone hates him, but you know what I mean. And a lot of the times I just used that to my advantage. And when we flipped, it was also the same thing, as using Enrique as the idol shield, the immunity shield. He won 2 in a row. He's won 3 total. Be afraid of him, not me. I need to beat him, sort of situation.
So I guess my question is, like, since like the vengeance narrative was kind of like more driven by other players, and Enrique and Brandon, like those are like factors outside of your control. Like, what would you have had to do if like what was your strategy if people had gone into the first vote and just said, let's get out the biggest challenge threat? Like what? How would you have used your AFK game then? I guess.
I mean, I didn't actually employ the AFK game that early. I was actually pretty active during those first couple of tribals, like 8, 9. I was messaging like fairly frequently. I think I reached out to Jared that first day. Actually, I have some receipts. I wrote it down. I reached out to Enrique, Jared, Byrne, and Brandon reached out to me all in that same day. And then I talked to Alex, but Alex didn't have a vote that night. So like those first couple of tribals where like everyone was still feeling things out, I wasn't employing the AFK indecisive type of thing during those tribals. I only started employing it later on when I knew I had like, you know, like the immunity to employ such a strat.
I was in a group chat with you and Jared, and both of us messaged it, and you like replied nothing. So is that just like, is that
well,
not?
I mean, I was talking to Jared like that same night about potentially creating a 3 with you, me, and him. Told him at the same time that I wasn't 100% sure that we should, you know, put our trust in you, because obviously, I mean, no offense, but like, you know, the split vote and everything that happened, like you were feeding us like information at the same time. So we had some back and forth conversations between our own chat, but you and I also had like seldom communication, especially on Simia. And then I didn't think we'd be actually able to work together that well after the Dan vote off. So I didn't necessarily want to align myself with you, because I thought you would just feed me false information, which is the only reason I didn't respond to that chat. Because I was just talking to Jared. I thought maybe we can make a connection depending on how things went, but I wanted to see where the first night went, see like how things progressed before we actually went to that point.
Okay. Yeah, and for what it's worth, that split wasn't like feeding. It was like a legitimate plan, but none of you guys seemed on board. So I guess that's.
Yeah.
But yeah, that totally makes sense.
Can I ask a quick question to Anish?
Go ahead.
So, like, maybe this isn't that applicable to this season specifically, but like, would you have applied the same kind of strategy of like not talking to people and leaving people wondering what you're thinking, like given an in-person Survivor season? Or how did your strategy change, just given the fact that we're on Discord and you can kind of ignore messages with like plausible deniability that like maybe you didn't see it in time or that kind of thing?
It's not necessarily that I was ignoring a lot of like, I mean, I was messaging some people, like the people who I thought I needed for a vote, I would message them more frequently. Like my longest conversations were probably with like people like Alex, Byrne, Enrique, things like that, depending on like what situation we were in. But it really kind of depends. Like obviously in an in-person situation, you can't do that because you're going to be on the outside of everything. You won't have any knowledge whatsoever. You have to have like a lot more in-depth conversations in an in-person game. But on a Discord type of game where people are more willing to type out like longer paragraphs or like, you know, give you just a lot more like text, like a lot more bulk and a lot more into their like decision-making process or like their thought process, I think it's a little bit easier to go this route. Because, you know, like it's not always necessarily AFK. That's why I put like AFK/indecisive, because sometimes I'd be like, oh, I'm not sure where I want to go with this vote. Like I'd explicitly say something like that to like Enrique, for instance, and then he'd be telling me what his thought process is, like who he thinks we should vote out for the night, who he trusts, who he doesn't, advantages, things like that. So a lot of the times being like, oh, I ain't so sure, I don't know what's going to happen, sort of thing, also helps me out. That actually helped a lot Tribal 8, because when I made that first group chat with the 5 of us that didn't include Enrique, it's because I wasn't 100% sure that we could trust him at that point around the split vote time. So I was kind of feeling him out by saying, oh, I don't know, should we go with Yowdy? Should we go with that split vote group? Or maybe we should go with like a hero route? And I just wanted to make sure I could confirm his vote before I actually brought him into a bigger group chat. So that's like part of the strategy, like the indecisive part especially. Like especially for that one conversation, I told Enrique, oh, I don't think, should we split? Should we not? Should we go hero? And then I just wanted to make sure I could trust him, and that was the only way. I needed to make sure he was on board without him giving any other information to like the Yowdy Posky group, just in case.
Okay.
Still
I just
on
think
me.
I have
about.
I just had like a quick.
Go. Yeah, go.
So I think what sort of I think the AFK strategy that you had, while it was like very valid and like it definitely like clearly provided like results, and I think you sort of were able to like make it work successfully. Do you think that that strategy would be viable not only if there was like other vengeance or other plays going on that was like generating like momentum towards other votes, but do you think you would have been able to leverage it at all, provided that you weren't as much of a challenge threat as you are? Because from what I remember, Andrew was also AFK, and he was just instantly voted out because of that. So, curious as to whether you it like reflects good on your game that sort of a lot of your social game is like integrated with your challenge stuff, or that like, or do you think that's just sort of like a part of it?
I mean, like kind of like I was saying, like it wasn't the earlier tribals that I was AFK. Like I only employed the strat once I knew I was secure with like a challenge type of game going on. So that was like mid to late merge. I didn't start employing it until around then, like around the votes after we were thinking about flipping, or I was thinking about flipping. So before then, I was still like I was messaging enough to like, get people to feel secure in my vote for them. So, I mean, also, I also say that I know that the strategy wouldn't work twice. Like, this is like a very specific situation where I was allowed to employ something like this because, there was momentum going for like this whole vengeance theme that this entire season was based off of. So, like, it was like a very good set of circumstances that allowed me to do something like this. Otherwise, I would not be able to, and I would have to be a little bit more active in conversations and responses. It's like very specific to like this season. If the events of the season didn't fold out the way they did, I wouldn't be able to employ the same strategy, and I probably wouldn't have it anyway.
So I guess then my question is, do you think that sort of like reflects well on you as sort of like taking advantage of a situation, or do you think that other people might think poorly of your play as it was sort of like reliant on the fact that people had to come to you because you had immunity and that you weren't sort of relying on reaching out to others socially to make sure that you weren't voted off?
I mean, I only reached out. I reached out to the few people that I knew I needed information from, but yes, a lot of people did have to reach out to me. I think it doesn't necessarily reflect poorly because it was like an adaptation. It applies only to the season. Like, had the season not gone the way it went, I would not have actually employed the strategy to begin with. So I don't necessarily think it, like reflects poorly because it was used specifically for these like set of circumstances.
Okay. All right. Well, okay, that's what I was interested about. So I'm good.
The difference between I had zero message history between me and Yowdy. I had limited message history post merge with Priya. Hank just trolled me in messages. That was kind of annoying. But the difference is you were actually someone that like I'm looking here. It's like, man, like 5 messages, no answer. 2, 3 messages, no answer. I don't know. Again, I seem like was one of the recipients of this. And again, I don't know how that benefited you, or you just didn't bother actually responding to me once I was on the outs. But yeah, it doesn't feel good, and when you said AFK, I don't know who said AFK strat. I guess you coined it earlier, but like something clicked in my head, where I was just very grossed out, and you haven't defended it well in my eyes. I don't want any more response. Burn, props for pre-merge for getting the flip to go 3-3 in our favor, but staying strong, communicating with them. Well executed flip by both you guys. Burn, you always manage to make it to the pretty far without being goatish or good at challenges. So I'm gonna be voting for Burn tonight. Anish, good game. Hank, good game. I am done speaking.
Okay. Thank you, Brandon. And for the last person of the night, Tristan, you are up.
I just want to say really quick, congrats guys making your final 3. I mean, as a new player, it was definitely very hard, and I'm sure as a returning player, it was definitely a little bit harder, as you know a lot of history about each other. But my question kind of just goes towards Burn and Hank. With Anish saying that winning so many immunities, it kind of gravitates people towards him because they want him as a vote. I just want to know, like, why was it so important that you guys sided with him, and then just on a dime, you guys would flip on him if he did not have the safety with the necklace?
Well, I started with Anish knowing that I thought I could also beat him in Final Tribal. Um, I didn't think, like I said before, I didn't think many people in the game in the first place even had too many moves in the first place to like warrant that many votes going their way. I mean, from what it sounds like, it kind of seems like Anish's major play was with an idol, which was used on me actually, and I just think that idol plays are pretty simple in the first place. Everyone's gonna look pretty flashy with an idol play. I mean, if a play could be literally anything, I think I flipped like maybe 5 or 6 times this whole Survivor season. I probably placed many lies that like strategically helped me in the long run. I think those are really good plays. I mean, I wish I had an idol to play on myself and make myself look flashy or something, but I didn't have that. Um, but I just didn't think Anish had many plays in the first place, and I sided with him and used him as a shield, like I said, to get out Enrique, the second person who had many plays, it looked like, with all his idols. But I just needed him to be a challenge threat and basically get rid of everyone. And I guess it worked in my favor in that way.
Yeah. You're kind of asking like why would we like step on a dime and like turn on him in the last second? I was mostly siding with Burn, so most of my allegiance was with him. So if Tristan won or if Burn won, I think Anish would have just been gone. That's pretty much it.
I mean, I got no other questions. It was a fun game. Congratulations to the 3 of you for making it this far, and best of luck to each of you.
Thanks, Tristan.
Yep.
All right. Well, that's everyone on the jury. So, are there any, final discussions, questions after all of this that any of the jury members want to bring up? So, your last time to ask any of the final 3 if you have any questions.
Jeff, final 3 next game, or?
Yeah. All right.
For sure, Yachty. You me.
All right. Well, on that note, then, it's time to cast the final votes of the season. This time, the jury, you guys are voting for the winner. So, same as always, you have the parchments in your confessionals. Write a name down and just send it over, and it's going to take me a little bit of time because I'm printing them, so...
Wait, can I say something real quick, or is it too late?
No, go ahead.
Okay. Well, either way, whoever wins here, like, I'm fine with it. Like, I kind of organized it so that, like, I was fine with Burn winning. No offense, I wasn't that fine with Tristan winning. I was fine with Anish winning because, like, he was playing a really good game. I was also fine with Priya winning, but she kind of got out. Other than that, I think my game was like pretty good. Like, I think even though you guys called me goatish, I think that's like a fair and like good strategy to employ as long as you know to stick with the right people. I agree that Anisha's play was like oh Jesus Christ, Anisha's play was like really flashy. And I would probably vote for him. Actually, no, I'd vote for Burn because he's my buddy. But I'm fine with if either of them win. They both played a great game.
Hank, I was going to bring on that point. I forgot to say something to you. People keep saying that, like, again, I respect that that's what your strategy is, but it doesn't seem to be the successful strategy here. And in my real Survivor history, I can't recall that player type winning. Maybe once. Basically, yeah, like, that's I respect it was your play style and that's what happened, but it just does not get any traction in my eyes or any other eyes. It's just really hard to vote for that type of player in an online environment. Professional.
Yeah, my thoughts was that like since Anish, like he didn't like directly burn people. I thought since he and Burn were behind some of the votes, they would get more hate. So I'd be more, and like people would have like a better memory of me, right? So they'd vote for me. They'd be like, oh, Hank never screwed me over. He was being a nice guy, stuff like that.
Only memory of you trolling.
Well, yeah, except for you. You and Carson, I had no remorse for. I was always against both of you. I said no matter what, even if I get out for it, I want Carson and Brandon out of here. So I guess it doesn't count to you. But
I think if I can just follow up on that, I think like the place, like sort of like the strategy you had is like could work and it was valid. But I also think like too much of your game was just built on like not responding to certain people. And if you want to sit back and let other people become unpopular throughout the jury process, then you need to be working as actively as possible to make even people that you ended up voting for against, you ended up on opposite sides, interested in possibly voting for you in a jury. And like that's kind of was my concern is I didn't really have like a contingency plan if the people who you sided with didn't end up working out, or you had to somehow work with the other people on like a different alliance. So that's what I was going to ask with my question.
Yeah, I see that. Yeah, I tried it like even towards the end. Like I felt bad like voting Tristan and whatever, so I'd always kind of like lend him a hand and say like, hey, it was a good game and stuff. Like I'll in the future I'll be sure to like employ those tactics, but in future games I do plan to play like a similar style. Like I do feel like this strategy is like kind of for me because I can't see myself like win streaking like Anish. So I think I probably play more towards Burns style, but I still feel like I would still like be a little more low key, even if the plays aren't as flashy. I still think I could win some traction that way.
Yeah.
But I would bring in that was some good constructive criticism though. I like that.
Hank, I think there is merit to your game. Picking the right allies in the beginning tells like wonders about how good you are socially in this game. So I think there is some merit to your strategy. I think the challenge is like the difference between being a GOAT in some alliances versus running other alliances can sometimes distinguish you as someone that's more powerful in the game. So I think there's merit to your strategy. It might have to be combined with other things to really like showcase that to the jury. But I think choosing those right alliances actually is really powerful.
Yeah, I believe most of my power only came from my voting power, quite honestly. And other than that, like I didn't have too much influence because I wanted to kind of like ask around who wanted to get voted first before like saying someone, obviously, because I didn't want to get thrown under the bus.
Okay, it's gone quiet again. So
yeah, you guys can vote now.
Is everyone ready to vote now, or anything else? Any final statements or anything? I don't know if Anish or Bernard, if either of you two wanted to say anything, or if we're all just okay with this.
I think I'm good.
I'm good,
I
Jeff.
think we're good.
Okay. All right. Well,
Final three was always Burn Hank.
all right. On that note, then, everyone send in your votes to your confessionals. And this will probably take about like 5 to 10 minutes because I gotta I'm getting everyone's votes, I'm printing them, and then I gotta cut them. I shut the fuck
Are you
up.
gonna get a jar?
I oh.
You're gonna print them, Josh?
Wait, I already got a few of them printed.
What?
Dude,
Josh
you
wants
have
to
like no
walk in
writing.
Josh wants to walk in with the fans.
Oh,
Like, cheering
come
for
on.
him. And we're all gonna be dressed up.
Hey, when Posse was Jeff, he printed that. Well, he didn't. He wrote them on paper, but you know.
Josh, you should take a flashlight, like a phone flashlight.
I'll turn on my lights for.
Yeah, I was gonna say it, dude. It's so dark.
All right, guys. See you in a month at the ball house when we read out the votes.
We're gonna fly in.
Wait. Reading. Can we say who's counting the votes or what? Like, can we get another monkey gif in the tribal chat? Or...
Wait, Hank, no cap. Tell me your real
Or
name,
you
right?
can still put it in.
Hank,
Do
tell me
whatever
your
you want, Hank.
Hank,
What's
tell me
up?
what your real name is right now, and I vote for you. No cap. Tell me your real name.
No, that's Kev.
No cap. Tell me what it is right now.
I'll tell you.
He's telling you his name is
I'll
Kev.
Yeah, my name's Kev. I'll give you a real secret. I'm wearing sweatpants under this, man. Like...
Oh my god! You're disqualified.
You gotta wait till the votes are in first.
No, I know the outcomes. I know the outcomes.
You
Wait,
just lost my
Jeff,
vote.
can I change my vote?
Oh shit.
That just ruined it for me.
Your name's not Hank.
Brandon's face, holy
He's been
shit.
trolling you this whole time, Brandon.
Yeah, Brandon, I've been trolling you, man.
The
Does he look
only
like a
one
Hank,
he told
Brandon?
was his name.
Dude,
Does
Hank's
Bernard look
been
like
a-
a Hank?
Hank's just been a Shonald this whole time.
His name's Bob Taco.
He got a haircut and everything.
His
Hank
name's
is
Guy
Aunt
Man
Jemima.
Dude.
I am waiting on. Oh, okay. I'm just waiting on one vote. I think.
Who is it?
I'm not gonna say who.
Who is it?
Yeah, how long do you
No
think
name
this will
drops.
take,
No
Josh?
name drops.
No name drops.
How long do you think this will take, Josh? I'll be right back for like a minute.
You got time. You got time. Like I said, it's gonna take like 5-ish minutes
Okay,
or so.
I'll be back.
Okay, I got everyone's votes. I'm sending them to my printer. So hold the fuck on.
Was really hoping that Bernard was gonna go shoot hoops on this closet hoop.
His mini hoops.
Priya, I never gave you a good roast throughout the season for sending me every single one of your votes on vertical Snapchat, but I figured now is the good time to do that.
I'm sorry, Josh.
Vertical.
I was always on my phone this entire
You can
season.
still give a horizontal. You just
No, you can't. You can't do horizontal text in Snapchat anymore.
Wait, yeah.
I
It
didn't
makes
even
you.
know
It
that.
makes
I
you do it
always
vertical.
just wrote it out.
Wait, I did horizontal text.
Go
Yeah,
to
wait, I
Messenger,
thought we got
Messenger,
horizontal
click edit,
Snapchat.
and then you can just write the name, and then you save it.
Yeah, mine came up like this, not like this. Whenever I load it in the Snapchat.
Yeah, same here.
Wait, can you guys just like not in the like if you guys have iPhones, you guys can just write on the photo if you save the photo.
I mean,
Yeah, true.
It's a little bit
I should've
unintuitive, but
done
you
Use
can.
Snapchat's tools instead.
All right, hold on.
Just saying, well, you guys could have made Josh's life a lot easier.
Dude, are you
Whoever
playing for wearing
typed
sweats?
on the whoever typed
Yeah, they're
on
typing
those-
on their paper.
Typing.
That's so fake. You
Oh,
can't type in Real Survivor.
I typed all of mine. Give away.
I typed every time. I don't want people to know my handwriting.
And
Well, we
Anish,
told
did
you
you-
you're the only one who types.
But no, plenty of people typed.
I typed all
Well,
mine.
I
typed a couple
It was
until
like
everybody
Yowdy, it was
realized
Yowdy
couldn't
and like
fit it.
one other typer. Maybe
Writing
Tristan.
is probably like.
I typed for like two of
I
them.
mean, I'll tell you that
and
right
then
now. I'm not
someone
typing.
called it out, and I was like, no.
I mean, I remember when I was voting, a lot of people typed, but I change up the font every time. So
I called out the typers, and it seemed like they went away after that happened. And they may have been voted out.
Oh, wait, is Anish here? Anish, are you here?
Yes,
Okay, I got all the votes here. I just gotta cut them
Did
with
you?
scissors real quick.
Did you write AFK Andrew? The very first?
Josh, who's
That was me.
who's
Who
this
was
player
that?
in the game?
Yeah, that was me.
That's
Oh, that
Jared.
was Jared. Oh,
I think I wrote. I was like, I'm
Jared's name.
gifting
He's a memer
Andrew and
too.
early or something.
yeah.
Hey, Andrew. Yeah, I was happy with that one.
I'm gifting Andrew an early retirement or something like
Yeah,
that.
that was another good one. That was a good one.
Gotta rest his eyes. Come on.
An early vacation, I think. Yeah, an early vacation. Whatever.
All right, if anyone has a hidden immunity idol, now would be the time to use it.
Yeah, please.
Jeff,
Jeff,
about to play
let
one.
me immune myself from winning.
Yeah, Brandon is typing.
Cubs White Sox.
Alex whispered to Enrique.
Wait, was that actually about the controller, or was that a meme?
Enrique whispered to Brandon, Carson.
Oh, brother.
Enrique whispered to Jeff.
Wait,
That
Enrique,
whisper wasn't actually about a controller, was it?
For real.
That's how you
shit.
get-
No way,
we're-
right?
You're like 5 minutes away from getting able to read all the chats. That's what the real fun.
I don't know
True.
if I want to.
Oh,
I'm ready
boy.
for that spectator chat.
Hey, don't roast us for being, you know, mean to y'all.
Josh, look at Jeff chat.
You never get to see Jeff chat.
get
It's
to
actually
Jeff
in the public.
They're checking Josh's math real quick, making sure he.
Yeah, no.
Yo, we going to Rocks?
Yeah, wait, can we go to Rocks or what?
In the event of a tie in final 3, we will we will revote. If that revote is the same, then we will have a bit of discussion.
No.
I think they had a tie on at
Well,
Final
when it-
Rebels, and then they had the third person.
Well,
who got no
the
votes.
third person.
Third person got no votes, had to vote for the winner. It was crazy.
Is that the?
How many?
I saw that season. That was,
Was that
crazy.
was that Coach's season? Coach and
No.
and
No.
what's his name?
Steven and Are you talking about Tokachins?
Yeah, I think it's
No.
Sophie, Coach, and what was that guy's name?
Oh, that's a different season.
That was Coach's like second season.
Yeah, there's, I don't
Talking
know.
about.
I haven't watched Coach's second season.
It's not worth it. Don't worry.
Is that Heroes versus?
I've seen that one.
No, I don't think so.
Tristan,
that
your
the
resemblance to Quinn is so uncanny. It's like
This
it's
little-
crazy.
Who's Quinn? Who's Quinn? Just kidding.
Now I can do this emote like in real life, just like a.
Wait, do the sheesh.
little bit.
Do the sheesh real quick.
Yeah, I'll do the sus. How do you?
Wait, where's the Josh size picture hanging in this shit?
Yachty Q, give us a Yachty smile.
I just posted one in Shotgun. He made one earlier that looked just like Yachty smile, and I was like, dude, I gotta
Hold on, everyone. Just
get a print screen though.
gotta settle a discrepancy.
Josh gotta pay for it. We need 5-minute break.
What Jeff will do for.
Josh, Josh forgot he had the stream off this whole time.
All right, let me. Actually, I'm not counted the votes yet. Wow. All of them went to me. I get to keep the 100. Let's go. I'm down for that.
After this, do we get the sneak preview of the next Survivor season or the next Josh? Which one?
Yeah, we've already filmed the next season. He'll be coming.
I
soon.
wanna see the dad's workout routine more than I want to see the next Survivor season. I'll be honest.
No, I'm ready next week to start it.
Oh no.
Guys, next season starts today. Drop your buffs.
3 tribes.
39 more days.
Everyone who voted for Hank's on one tribe. Everyone who voted for Bernard's on one tribe. Everyone who voted for Niche is on one tribe.
Oh shit!
It's gonna be a big tribe for Hank.
Yeah, dude,
everyone voted for
Hey,
Hank.
who said that? Hey,
Oh,
who said that?
So
Well,
2 tribes, right?
Dude, if I get one
Two
vote,
tribes.
if I get one vote, you're loyal, man.
Everyone just voted for Hank because they thought they were only one voting for Hank.
Yeah.
Hank send
Dude, I
votes.
hope so. They believed in my message, man. Spread kindness.
Total Drama Island.
Yeah, you guys
Better
are
than Survivor.
Oh, drama.
no cap.
From not
It worked better in the cartoon, you know.
Maybe if we were all like 16, 17 years old, maybe.
We're
willing.
equal now.
Yeah, we're too jaded to vote for
I'm
that.
definitely not 16.
Definitely.
Daddy smile.
God, I love this angle on Thomas.
He
I think
could
Alex-
unleash his laser at any moment.
Alex angle was way better.
Dude, I
The
no
Alex
disrespect
cam
to
was
anybody.
destroying me.
Every time I looked at Jay, y'all were talking about it, and every time I looked at Alex, he's just sitting still.
Oh my god, when Josh said look behind you, Alex.
What was behind
I
you?
was, there was nothing. No, Josh was just
There's
fucking.
nothing. Come on.
Just like,
Oh my god.
Josh said, "Look behind you," and then if you look
Jared.
behind yourself, Josh would be like, "Haha, made you look."
It wasn't behind Alex, it's behind you, Jared.
Yo, Alex, check your email.
The problem is,
Made you look.
Alex, you won Sprint Player of the Game. Check your email. Check your Venmo.
what's the there's spectators voting? We got enough to play.
Josh, did Sia gift the season any money? Any play any?
Alex is Cardi B player of the season.
Guys, where's my Tyler Perry idol? Come on.
Yeah, I can come back for final.
do you guys remember that DJ prank, that April Fool's tribal?
Dude, I didn't even realize that
I
was a
was
bot account.
fooled. I was fooled.
Josh got me with his bot yet again. I don't know how he.
Your season gets ruined because DJQ comes back to meme a trial.
He doesn't do anything. He just only spams anime gifs in between
It
answers.
seemed like a reasonable twist. I don't know.
The part that gets you voted out is has a
Yeah,
bunch
I
of
mean,
YouTubers.
you were the only one who really fell for it because you messaged DJ's duo chat. Like instantly, like immediately.
I didn't realize. I mean, like, I knew it was fake. I didn't realize that wasn't actually DJ until like
Yeah,
Josh
I
said.
didn't
I
know
thought
that.
they literally just let DJ message anything in the tribal chat. But then I realized it'd probably be like a
Josh is a good Discord actor. He can play anyone.
Wait, what?
And the VTuber. Just get
Oh.
it you're in.
Josh, you're talking about your bot. It got us again.
Josh watched 15 hours of VTuber in preparation for that role.
Dude,
Yeah.
did anybody?
He made the sacrifice.
Wait, Josh sent he sent like a picture and gift or something. I forgot what it was, but it was very convincing. It was very...
Everyone always believes Josh's clones. It doesn't matter how good it is or not. Everyone just believes
Yeah,
it no
like,
matter
it doesn't
what.
matter how many people talk about it. Josh is going to find a way.
All right.
Too good. I'm doing that.
Got all the votes here.
Josh, friends.
All right. Well, while I'm putting these votes in order, I guess we may as well just ask now. I mean, Hank, Bernard, and Nish, what y'all spending the hundo on if you win?
I'm tipping you, Josh.
You tipping me 100?
Maybe not 100. But I'll see. I need to win first.
Invest it back into the Survivor community.
Yeah.
Psych.
I'm a Nitro to Discord.
I'm gonna
Pay Josh to get another season going very quickly.
Yeah.
we need another within a month.
Yeah, run it the fuck back.
Dude, I was gonna buy canes for burning a couple
Little do
kids.
you know, Brandon, the next season's starting right now. Another 34 days. Run it back.
It's the best of 5, right?
It's actually
That'd
grand
be
final.
insane.
This is
It's
actually
like a
grand
weird
finals.
final
You guys are starting from the loser side. You need to push for the reset.
Probably
But yeah, what-
based on the votes that you did.
Anish, what are you spending the 100 on?
I'm going to the bank.
No way.
Trying the bank? Holy shit.
You're why the economy's dying.
Yeah.
No,
you are literally
Is that $100?
Single-handedly ruining the economy.
Wait, Anish is buying more Ketchup games to practice for next Survivor.
Oh, yeah.
He's
actually
actually
getting rid of
buying
it.
ketchup. He's buying ketchup.
No, he's
He's paying
In
for
one of my
move
chats-
ads on every catch
Some
game.
games give you ads
Frame
with
rate.
airplane mode on it after every play.
Well, you have to turn it on before you like open the actual app.
Dude, you know all the fucking tricks.
You literally
Who would have
said it.
thought of that amazing strat of opening it before? That's
Look,
crazy.
Dude, there was a challenge that Brandon killed, destroyed me. He didn't know how to play.
Dude, he got like 3 in like.
Oh, he didn't know
favorites
he
and
took
block.
Temple Run, yeah. Brandon got like the minimum in Temple Run.
He didn't play Temple Run.
It's like there was no tutorial. How do I do it? That's what he said in his confessional.
I think in one of my chats with Brandon, I actually said I had like it might just be because Shockland watched Slumdog Millionaire, but I felt like I had a lot of those moments because like the slide puzzle, for instance, like I played a lot of it our freshman year because Byrne had one in his dorm, so I played a bunch with that. And like, there's like a bunch of different instances where like I've played a bunch of like the Sudoku game, for instance. I played a lot of that. My dad plays it literally every night, and he has for like 5 years. So just like a bunch of those like random things that kind of just worked out in my favor.
Niche already pre-gaming for next game.
Do you do a lot of word searches, Anish?
Yeah, so there's a word search app that I used to play. It's on my phone. It's called Infinite Word Search, and I think I'm like level like 100. I haven't played it in a couple years, but I used to play it a lot. You basically have to beat someone first to 5 out of 9 words.
Anish, how long did it take you to get perfect on the memory game, like I did?
I think 9 minutes.
Okay.
8 or 9
Wait,
minutes.
I took double.
Yeah, I remember telling Josh that like I liked how diverse the challenges were because Anish wouldn't just win them all, and then Anish
He won them all. Why did he
I
win
mean,
them all?
I won 6 out of 10. Of
Yeah, when there's like 12 people each time. I mean, that's it's nuts.
Wait, why is it? I feel like it'd be better to go quickly on a memory game, wouldn't it? Like the fucking. Are you talking about Simon Says?
He's talking about the cards.
Oh,
not-
okay.
Yeah.
All right.
The one I
Enrique, we fucked up by getting into Melee. We should just gotten into mobile games.
Anish is about to be Slumdog Hunter there.
All right, everyone. Y'all ready?
Yeah.
Go, Josh.
Let's see who our sole survivor is. Okay. When the votes are red, the tribal council's over. You snuff your torch. No. Okay. We're gonna just read the votes
I'm holding Anish's and Hank hands.
virtually.
Yeah.
All right. All right, everyone. First vote. Anish.
Ooh.
Is this backwards for
Yeah.
y'all?
No, it's good. It's good.
No,
That's good.
Oh, maybe it just shows up for me. Okay, yeah. First vote, Anish.
It says Sisa.
What?
Sina.
Oh, it's backwards on your stream though, on your Twitch stream.
Yeah, I don't know if I can change that.
It's fine. You're calling out the name.
All right, Anish. First vote, Anish. Bernard. It's 1 vote Anish, 1 vote Bernard. Anish.
Steve.
2 votes Anish, 1 vote Bernard. Bernard.
Hey.
2 votes Anish, 2 votes Bernard, 6 votes left. Anish.
I didn't see it. Can you zoom it in?
That's Alex's for sure.
Is that Yowdy?
No, that isn't. That is not mine.
Is that?
I will not take credit.
No name drops. I know whose it is. No name drops.
Bernard.
Oh.
That's 3 votes Anish, 3 votes Bernard, 4 votes left.
Where's my pictures, guys?
Anish. Bernard.
We're tied again.
Wow, 2 votes
There's
left.
gonna be one Hank me.
2 votes left.
Wait, what was the tie? What happened?
Wait, it's 4-4 right now.
Hank,
It's
Yeah.
4-4 right
Hank
now.
was
I think if it ties, Hank would pick.
Josh literally threw out all the Hank votes. That's fucked up.
in the event of a tie, Hank casts the final vote for the sole survivor. Anish. So 5 votes Anish, 4 votes Bernard, 1 vote left. And the sole survivor, winner of Survivor Heroes vs. Villains, $100 winner also, Anish. Congratulations, Anish.
Yay!
Congratulations.
Congrats.
Congratulations, Anish.
Thank you. Good game,
Good job,
Burn,
buddy.
Hank, everyone.
You played a good game.
Good game.
Anish.
Champagne Indian strong.
Hey Josh, I was gonna no meme. I was gonna like use some of that $100 to buy some shock books. Carson said he'd give me. Carson said if I gave him some of the money, if I won, he'd give me shock books. That's all I'm saying.
Dude.
Oh my god.
Yeah, I mean, great season, chaotic season. So I'm gonna probably end the stream right now just to cut the VOD short. That'll just upload straight to YouTube. And I think what I'm gonna do right now is, I mean, we can all stay in this call for just a little bit, but what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna pretty much just give you all access to the server, and yeah, that'll be it. Good season.
Everyone get
Um,
vaccinated. Prep for Arkdale Survivor in the summer.
Thank you to everyone for playing. Thank you to the Jeffs. This season would literally have been impossible to run without Thomas, Lucas, Blake, Pseudo, Jeff, and Nate especially. So
Nate's not even here.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, he did so much work. He's exhausted. He can't even get in the call.
Tonight was Nate's only night off.
Yeah, they all did a lot of work. Like you may not have even noticed it, but they did a lot of behind the scenes stuff. All
Well
right.
done, Jeffs.
Yes, Jeffing was amazing.
Good job, Jeff. 6
Yeah.
seasons.
Yeah.
Very
Thank
fun.
you, Jeff.
This
Thanks
was
so much for
super
inviting me.
organized.
No
This
problem.
is my first time, but it was a wonderful
Yeah,
time.
thank you for inviting me to play as well. It was super fun.
No problemo. All right, I'm cutting the stream, but we could just stay here.